Hey everybody, it's Dead Linux, and I was just getting off of work on Tuesday, and just thinking about random stuff, and we put together these schedules and we post these things on Twitter and on Instagram and Facebook about how we should all be positive and go get it today, and always kind of keep upbeat attitudes because it's easier to say it and then somebody else hears it than of course try to live it day to day, right? So it's a tough thing, and I know that too, and it's weird. But, uh, it's the alternative is tough too, is it not? To just think of the drudgery and accept the suck, as it were, and just day in and day out and experience those emotions and just feel them and just let them deal with you. Like you're some sort of clay putty that you can be shaped in some sort of form until something else moves you, right? Well, it's neither there or one or the other thing, is it? It's always a combination of both, and it seems the older I get, the more I feel like we're buffeted by all sorts of different forces that affect us. So it's work stress for me most of the time, or it's family stress for you, or it's the friend that you haven't seen and you may never see again, or it's the change of environment and moving to a new home, or the arrival of a new puppy, or the death of a family member. I mean, these sorts of things throw us into this cacophony and this tornado sort of whirlwind of ups and downs and emotions, and yet we still need to function in some way, shape, or form to keep living the lives we do and what's important. And yet, I always get so fascinated by the inertia of things, where everything seems to change constantly, and yet, it you still have your jeans on the floor from the night before and they didn't move because nobody moved them, or the coffee cup you happen to leave on a countertop in a room in a motel that never got picked up, and then the motel closed and it still sits there 20 years later, or a fish tank left out behind a garage that fills with leaves that will sit there for the next 30 years. Those sorts of things, and yet we feel changes daily, and one day can feel as if nothing else will ever go right again and everything's going to change, and the next day it feels like everything will always be the same and you can never escape the humdrum day to day, and none of it is the same, right? It's always different. It's always something that our perspective changes constantly, and our minds change, or we fall into habits or we don't, or we say yes or we don't, or we say no and we don't. And it is the nature of humanity to confront this and learn how to deal. And that's it. And either we deal or we don't. Just things I thought about today. So, obviously there's no stream today, so instead I'm waxing poetic into a YouTube video. But I figure, I don't use YouTube as much as I should, and maybe instead of putting game videos over there, maybe I'll put weird sort of stuff so you guys can know. Because if you need to catch the previous video, you can always catch it underneath in Twitch. And Twitch is such a thing too, right? It's very immediate. You have to be there in the moment. Catching the VOD isn't the same because you don't get to interact. You see it in past tense and you miss out on the experience and the joy and the fun, or the involvement or the drama or the chat or what have you. And you only get it for so many days. You don't get it permanently unless you want to save it permanently, and then it becomes a completely different thing. And those sorts of things are interesting too, but it's the medium. And I don't mean just Twitch. I mean Twitch, Mixer, Caffeine, D Live, Facebook Live, all these things that are just in the moment sorts of entertainment. Are they entertainment or are they social interaction? Is it the closest we can get sometimes? It's easier than trying to call somebody on the phone. It is easier to call somebody, much easier than calling somebody on the phone, even just being a streamer. It's a lot easier to get in front of a camera and pretend to be an entertainer for a little bit than try to pick up the phone and call about anything sometimes. And yeah, probably a little deeper than you want it to be, but the one thing that always seems to change in this area anyway is weather and seasons. And that always, every year, it gets to be depressing. Seeing the leaves go off the trees and they become these bony thorns sticking into the sky, and it's, how does that change and I don't? Or how do I change and it doesn't? What do these things do? There is no necessarily any meaning to it unless the meaning you give it, right? So what do? I don't know. I think we're such fickle animals that it's almost better to understand yourself to the point where you know and can figure out how you react and how you can control certain chemical imbalances, right? We medicate ourselves with various things, either legal or non-legal, and trying to understand how that affects our outlooks, our perspectives, and then one thing you would have said one day is different if you see it next. And just finding patterns and learning how, and maybe we never do. Maybe we never figure it out. We pass it on to our children to try and figure it out for us, and they get a little bit further, and they get a little bit further. I don't know. So there you go. So instead of saying, "Hey, all you beautiful people, all you all rock," I'll give you something to think about instead, which may be a little bit more meaningful, or maybe not. Maybe it's depressing. But the one thing I guess is that, well, I don't know. We're all in it together, maybe? We're never truly alone in all this. And even the struggles you're facing now most likely have been faced by others somewhere. Trying to find them may be difficult. And sometimes that's not a comfort either. Sometimes you wish your suffering was unique. It has to be unique. I wish I had answers. This is just things I think about. And now you get to think about them, and we're at 6 minutes and 35 seconds. So yeah, so there's your thoughts for today. I know other people have been starting to do this lately too. Maybe I should as well, just to get my thoughts straight. We'll be live tomorrow. We're back on schedule. So I'll be streaming at 7 p.m. CST. And for Twitch, for me, it's better to have it as a habit. It's frustrating, of course. I mean, you're trying to fill a gap. You're trying to get emotional, some sort of gratification from everything we do. And from Twitch, it's the same thing too. I mean, trying to be in YouTube and Facebook and all of these social medias, we want the validation. We want to click it and see the update notification where somebody pinged you back, right? That's what we're doing. And you have to give to get too, but sometimes not everybody's available. So then what do you do? And there's another thing too, is to focus more internally and say, like, well, what is fulfilling then? If you can't get it from the outside, if you can't get it to happen, then what can you do in your internal environment to make something new, right? So would you stream to a completely empty room? Would you stream and play video games and talk to yourself even if you didn't even have the camera rolling? And is that entertainment? Or would you want to have somebody there playing with you? Or just somebody there for the chatter? How many times have you turned on a stream simply to hear somebody else's voice? And know that on the other end of that line, they are live, they are active, they are living their life, as opposed to a TV show, which is obviously past tense, right? Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's it, right? We do it to feel that humdrum, that buzzing drone in the back, even if we're not even paying attention, even if we're just lurking. Oh, what a horrible word, right? But seeing that motion and seeing other people doing stuff, it makes you feel like you're involved and that things are doing and moving and going forward. Maybe that's more important. So that we move, things move and we move with them. Others move and we move with them. I mean, it's, we have things on while we work, while we play, just to have that noise that's not pre-recorded. The message is the massage sort of thing, right? Because we're all fairly transparent about all our insecurities and what we're going for and all the give me them bits and give me the subs and here's the charity stream that you have to donate to and subathons and things like that. We are still fairly transparent. Anyway. Alright, I have to go say goodbye to a friend of mine who's going back home. And then tomorrow we'll stream, we'll go live, we'll make this all happen again. But things that I think about. Take it or leave it. Either way. Thank you for watching if you have. And we'll see you all next time.